Good evening and welcome to the Jay Duke Show. I want to thank Jumping Instructors Network for making this possible. My producers tonight are Randy and Laura behind the scenes, and they're doing a great job as always. Tonight we have a very special guest, Karl Cook. You guys are going to love this interview. He's a fantastic guy and a great story. So we have all sorts of super fun questions for him to ask. And if you're a follower of him on Instagram, you'll be expecting, you'll know what's coming. I want to thank, first of all, Farm Vet for being with us tonight. Farm Vet and Scope, both amazing companies. And, you know, Farm Vet was started in 1999 and as a mobile tack shop to go to the horse shows, to bring all the things that we forget. You know, there's so many things that we take to the horse shows and there's no way to bring everything that those horses require. They started up in 1999. The Farm Vet trailer would be at those horse shows, and I was always relieved to see them. And I know everyone else is as well, because, you know, any product you're going to want to see, any product you're going to want to buy, they're going to go in, they're going to give you great service and the best product. So thank you to Farm Vet for being with us tonight. And also to Scope Equestrian Lifestyle Company. They are literally the coolest clothing company based out of British Columbia, Canada. Family run, amazing products. And what's really neat about them is everybody wears their stuff. The preteens, the teenagers, the 20-somethings, people like me, the older people wear their stuff. Everyone loves it. It's super comfortable. It's very fashionable. And I'm really glad to have Scope Equestrian Lifestyle joining me tonight. So I want to bring in my guest, Karl Cook. Karl, thank you very much for joining us. Karl is an American team rider, a double gold medalist of the young riders. He's had a top 12 finish in the World Cup finals. I don't know if that was in Vegas or where that was, but top 12 finish, that's a huge accomplishment. And he's represented Team USA on the world stage. So I'm very happy to have Karl with us tonight. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you so much, Jay, for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining. Well, I always like when I get top riders on the show, I'm always curious, how you got started in your career with the show Jumping Horses. So can you give me and the audience some background on how you got going with this?
I just started. No, my mom rode, as an amateur. And when my sister and I got old, we're not like toddlers anymore. We always had horses in our backyard. And one day she asked if I wanted a pony, and she had a little picture of this pony, and I said yes, and just kind of never stopped from there.
Never stopped. And how did you compete on the ponies at the horse shows, or when did you start competing?
So that pony that she showed me a picture of was my pony jumper pony. And then I rode that for years, and then my sister rode that. She won pony jumper finals on that pony when she had the national pony jumper finals. And now it lives at our house, lives in my parents' house. And and then, from the ponies, and, I only ever had that pony, and I only did the pony jumpers. Mm-hmm. And then I went to children's jumpers, junior modified, juniors, and then on from there.
Nice. So you've been working with Eric Neve for several years now, and Eric Neve was an idol of mine growing up. I'm watching him in Calgary and watching him in Europe and watching him on TV, and such a special rider in every way. His style was classical and unique to him at the same time. I don't know how he pulled that off, but he just seemed, you always knew you were watching Eric Neve. There was never any question about that, but it was also such a classic style that he had. And I always aspired to watch him and then ride like him and all that. So you've been training with him for several years. Can you tell me about that? What that experience has been like?
I think it's been it's been a big part of my life. And I think it's, he's really brought me into like the future of the sport. And how I think about riding and horses, and how I think about just the act of working with the horses and riding the horses. But I agree, he's got a very classical style, yet a lot of the little details are not as classical, at least in the American classical sense.
Right.
And then at the same, he will say he saw, back in the, late 70s, early 80s were really his formative period,
Okay.
where he was started to go onto the world stage. And so he saw, the Germans who were big at that time, or very good at that time, and the Americans who, that was, Conrad Homfeld and Idle Dice and all these
Michael Matz,
unbelievable American horses.
Yeah.
Michael Matz, exactly. So he could see the German style, which is not the old school American style, but he could see the American style as well. And he'll say that he tried to combine the good parts of both.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did exactly that. Now, can you share with us? Is there like when you say he's got some unique perspectives and such? Is there like something that stands out as like a tip with his horsemanship skills, or something along those lines?
There's no, people always look for a silver bullet or those secrets. That's that key that if I just do this one little thing that I didn't do before, then all my problems are solved. It's not really how it works.
Right.
But, the way I say it is, I went, I took a couple clinics when I was a junior and young adult. So when I went to Eric, summer of 2012, and I went to his farm in France, before he taught me the first day, I was getting ready to do a clinic, and I'd done clinics with some well-known American clinicians. And so, I was sitting up, my elbows were bent, my hands were up. I mean, looked like the traditional like equitation type of thing, even though I never did equitation. And my equitation in my junior years was terrible. But I did exactly what I thought at that time from my experiences. And in the first day, he said, okay, don't push your heels down. Don't put weight in your stirrups. Don't close your fingers. Don't arch your back. Actually move your back. Like this whole, like, what I thought, you get to push your heels down or close your hands or all this stuff. And so when things don't work, you think, maybe if I push my heels down farther, then it would be successful. And then in like 5 minutes, he just like erodes all of it.
Yeah. A little bit. That's the little bit French style. That what he's explaining there. That's a little bit different. Several of the French riders do ride exactly how you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's no force in the position. I think is the big thing. You're not pushing your heels down, or you're not pushing your butt into the saddle. You're not closing your hands. There's no force in the position. The position is what it is because that's what's easiest to do with your body. And I think that, I had to completely change how I ride, but I knew I needed to do that going in. So I, did the best I could to do it, but it makes sense once you start riding that way, because you're not forcing yourself into any position.
Right. You're finding the rhythm of the horse and the balance point of the horse that works with their body, your body, and do what feels natural.
Yeah. No dance instructor ever said to look more fluid by getting stiffer.
Yes, for sure.
You look like you're not moving by moving, not by not moving.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. And then on top of that, he's such a gentleman and a fantastic ambassador of the sport. And, I'm sure a great role model to follow along those lines too. So, and he has made an incredible mark on your career. And it's been great to watch that progression and the success that you guys are having.
It's been a great ride to be on. Nice.
So you've been on Team USA. You represented them at Thunderbird Show Park in British Columbia, Canada. You had a big fan club there and a lot of people cheering you on. What was that like, putting on the team jacket for the first time? I'm sure it was a goal of yours for a long time. It's pretty much every rider's dream. What was that like?
I think it always feels special to represent your country, as I think any rider for their respective country would feel. For me, the goal is still the same, regardless of what jacket I'm wearing or what class I'm going in. So I kind of, in the moment, I have, you have to change how your brain's thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always special to represent your country, and also I think it's, for me, it's fun to ride with the team, and to have other riders that you're relying on and are relying on you. I think that's,
yeah.
I don't know. I like it. It's
Yeah.
Makes it more interesting for me.
It is.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't get that pressure that other people. They're like, oh, well, people are relying on me. I have to do X, Y, and Z, and
Mm-hmm.
it's totally different now because because this format and all this stuff. And for me, it's still got to jump clear. I mean,
that is the goal.
The goal is still the same. It doesn't matter who's relying on you or not. The goal is the same. So, yeah,
for sure. It's such a neat opportunity. I remember that was a beautiful day there, and a really fun class to be a part of and to watch. So, congratulations, and I hope you get a chance to do that again in the future. I'm sure those opportunities will arise for you. We'll send.
The better I ride, the more likely.
That's right. So you do some pretty interesting things with your horses. You're very well known for your love of the horses, for your care of the horses, as a horseman. And that's great for you to be, at such a young age to already have that sort of reputation. And so I want to talk about that. I've heard about this soundness test or way of checking their soundness where you have some cameras set up and some motion sensors. Would you be able to, what is that about?
I mean, when I was growing up, your horse was either sound or it was lame. Or at least that's what I recall growing up, regardless of any other thing. So, and if anyone has been an athlete, knows there's a great deal of stuff in between those two pieces. Before
Yes.
you are actively lame, you might be stiff, you might be sore. Certain movements might not feel great while other movements feel okay. And it kind of evolved around the people that I had around me, both Eric and my vet Philippe, who we work very closely with. With the goal, it's so hard to find the horses, and they're expensive, and regardless of what's expensive to you, a horse is still expensive. And so it was about maintaining the horses for a longer period of time. So if you found a good horse, you could show that horse for many more years. And at the same time, could we make them jump higher, faster? Could we, could we make them not only have a longer career, but could we make them last longer? And not just like a fluke longer, one horse out of every, so many lasts till it's, 18 or beyond, but like predictably, horses just predictably, you can make them last longer. So that spawned then seeing things that you can't see. Because the idea being the sooner you can see it, the less of a issue it is, and the less of a chance it becomes an issue, and the better care you can give the horses.
The more preventative, is best when you can get to those before it becomes an injury. So how does your program? What did you come up with to try to help them with that?
It's a lot of it is just paying attention to stuff we already see. This horse changing leads right to left is more difficult than left to right. My horse drifts to the left or to the right. I always land on this lead or not, or that lead. My horse bows in or out, or its butt is to the left or to the right more often, or the saddle's tilted one direction or another, or the neck is stiff to the left or to the right. It's all these little things. And then not only, when the horse jogs, is it lame or is it sound, but how is the horse moving? Is it landing on the inside toe, outside wall? Is the path of the foot doing this or this? Is it hopping or scooting? Is the toe dragging or not dragging? These tiny little things, mean something. And so looking at those and focusing on those, and then that's just the basic human eye stuff. And then, we're working on stuff to try and quantify that so that we can track it over time.
Nice. That's
the fun stuff.
I wish I had that program like that. I had this was back in the 90s, and had a thoroughbred off the track, and got him as a 3-year-old, and at 6 he was actually jumping around the Masters, in the preliminary ring well, and at 7 I rode him on the team. So he was a really good horse, but if you were on the right lead, it was a gimme. Didn't matter, vertical, oxer, angle, distance, it made no difference. You're on the right lead, that jump was a gimme. You're on the left lead, you had to do every single thing you could to make sure you let that jump up and clean. So there's, obviously that's an extreme measure, with horses. And he was a sound horse and very healthy, but what you're saying there, the better you can get them to notice those little things, and then you can help them, whether that be through therapeutic or whether that be through training or whatever means there are. Again, I could see you literally having horses last not just months, but years longer with that sort of work, especially when they're younger.
Yeah. And there's it's not just noticing how they're feeling, but the first step in everything that I try to do is consistency. So if I get a new horse, I want to feel consistent. Now that might be consistently bad, and I don't feel good riding the horse, but I need some form of consistency. So then when I make a change, I could say, is it better? Is it worse? Or how is it different? And then I can, proceed methodically from there. And, it makes sense to me. But it's something that's hard mentally to do. I mean, you have to discipline yourself, and, it's easy to say, oh, this horse, he's just that way. He's just, he's just that way. Sure, he might just be that way, but he also has this problem, which you could make better.
Right.
And the sooner you see things, the less you might deal with it with a therapy and not with a needle.
Yes.
Or, you can deal with things so much more holistically than if the horse is lame. If you have a torn suspensory, you've already missed many indicators to get to that point. It doesn't happen in a vacuum.
Yeah. Nice. You have a custom-made pair of riding goggles that you use sometimes in the warm ring. I don't know if you train with them at home as well. Tell us about these goggles and what they do and how why you use them.
So I was working, the guy that I work with on a lot of my measurement projects introduced me to this Norwegian biomechanics lady, and we brought her out from Norway with him. And we worked with her for a weekend. Her name is Maria Therese, and she's really good at, biomechanics, balance, and that kind of like subtle training thing. Are you aligned in your body? And, that kind of, it's kind of one of those like salt and pepper things at the very end.
Okay.
It's not the steak, but it's those little details that like really bring things through. And I didn't use the goggles when she was there, but she had these ski goggles with tape over them, and I never used them. And then I asked her what they were, and we talked about them. And then one day I was riding after she left, and I was like, I'm gonna make a pair. So I spent like $6 on Amazon, and I took some hoof tape. And so I guess basically what it is it's actually, are they here? No, they're down the barn. They're clear ski goggles, which is a bad idea. Don't ski in clear goggles. It's a bad idea. And then I just put tape over them, so all I see is a little slit. So I can't see the horse, and I can't see up.
Wow.
So when I'm riding them, I literally cannot see my horse at all. And that has a variety of effects.
Sure.
On my riding.
I think I might try that one, some of my students, because I'm always trying to get them to look where they're going. So this sounds like a great tip.
I promise you it'll make them look where they're going.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. You're really well known for your work with rescue animals. And you know, you and your wife are very involved with that. And I know you're involved with dogs and possibly with the horses and such. Tell me about that and how, you know, what that brings to you and how that fulfills you.
I mean, professionally, I care for horses. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what I do with them. I still do that. You know, I have to care for the horses if I want to show them the ring.
Right.
So it's kind of an extension of that. And I think my wife has really brought that out in me a lot. You know, I have one dwarf, 2 mini ponies, and a mini donkey in a paddock just over there. And then we have rescue dogs. And I think it's a good thing to do for the animals. Mm-hmm. And I think being able to give them a good environment to live is what an animal deserves. And that being able to do that makes me happy, but you know, I don't do it to, you know, for anything other than I enjoy giving those animals a life that I feel that they deserve.
Yeah.
And I'm capable of giving them. You know, I don't pound it from, you know, I don't shout it from the rooftops, you know, but because makes me feel good, and I don't really give a shit what other people think, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just
what if there's someone say watching that would say, hey, I'd like to, you know, help an animal in need and whatever, what recommendation would you have for them?
I mean, it depends on what you're able to give. You know, I think the worst thing is to take on more than you can actually do. And you take it on well-intentioned. You know, you want to help animals. But taking on more than you can handle in the end makes you not happy and is not the best environment for the animals. So if that means that the most you can handle is, you know, giving some time at a good rescue, or you know, something like that, or fostering, or actually adopting animals yourself, you know, I think the key is, what can you handle? What can you give? Because most people think about what they can receive.
Right.
And I think with the rescue animals, it's not what you will receive from whatever animal or animals you wanna rescue. It's what can I give?
Yeah.
For the years, because some of them you're gonna adopt them, and it's many years. You know, if it's a senior dog, it might be a few years, but if it's a young dog or a young pony, it's a decade plus. With the mini ponies, it can be, you know, 20 years plus. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of, you know, continuous, you know, work, and you have to be ready for it.
As an animal lover myself, and I do everything that I can. Thank you so much for, you know, everything that you're doing for them. Instagram, you have a good Instagram following. You have great numbers. In fact, I think I looked it up. It's over 400,000 followers on Instagram. Do you and Kaylee have Instagram contests? Because I see she has 6 million followers. So I think if you are, that's not going very well for you. Or like, how does that work with the two of you?
I mean, Jake, let's be realistic here. People follow me because of my wife. I think at least initially, my numbers got to what they were because people were following me. They kind of went from my wife to me. And I'm, honestly, I'm okay with that because it just is. It just is, so I can't be one way or the other. And I was kind of agnostic about Instagram. And then, I kind of, I started, actually, it was literally basically a year ago. I started my walking and talking videos.
Yeah.
Just by chance. I just finished a round in Kentucky, and I was walking back to the barn, and I literally was like, okay, well, I'm walking and talking, and I just said like 2 minutes of my thoughts, and then that kind of spiraled into longer videos. I'd put in my round, so you'd see me talking about my round, you'd see the round, and then I'd talk about it after, to talking about other stuff I do at the barn, or riding, or all sorts of different things. And I like to think some people now follow me because of those, but
they do.
Honestly,
I don't know how many the 400.
The walking,
but I know of at least 4 people that follow you because of the walk and talk thing. And only because I think I get
a lot of views.
Yeah, only because I had 4 people today alone tell me, "Oh yeah, Karl is this fantastic." I was teaching a clinic today, and like, and we were talking about the show tonight, and Karl has this fantastic walk and talk thing he does, and we love watching and whatever. And so for sure, I know 4 people that follow you just for you.
Yeah. And for me, it's good because it helps me, regardless of how many people watch it or if no people watch it, helps me kind of. I think the reason why I did it initially was it helped me. You have a round, and you have your feelings about how that round went, but actually having to put like audible words to it, actually have to say how you feel, kind of helps, at least in that moment, and from then it helped me kind of process my round, or if I'm talking about how I fit my saddles or my reins, or any of the other details, it helps me on my own kind of formulate my thoughts for myself. So it not only, hopefully it helps other people, but it also helps me in my own application of managing my horses and riding them.
And you've talked quite a bit about attention to detail, and I think that's a common theme among top successful athletes in all sports. Is that attention to detail, and realizing what you need to work on and what can be improved, and also what you're doing well, and continuing that success. So that is interesting to hear, and I think that seems to go across many parts of your life. Is those details, and that's a big part of your success. What's next for you? Obviously, competition wise, this year has been disrupted and challenging. With your show jumping, what's the next step for Karl Cook?
I know a bunch of people are starting showing already, and Michigan and Kentucky and Tryon, that sort of thing. I didn't want to rush back because I felt like it had been so much time since we've shown that I wanted to make sure I didn't rush back. There's not I wish there were better words, but I didn't want to rush back. So I'm going to show here in Southern California in 2 weeks. We're doing a little home show here at my farm here this weekend. Invited a couple of people, my wife and a couple of local people to trailer in, jump on the grass field, and
nice.
Of course,
have
a social distancing get together. It's like a relaxed horse show where no one wins money and no one, you just have fun.
Nice.
And then, I think I want to do Thunderbird, but it looks like the border may or may not be open. And if it is open, then we would have to quarantine the horses there. So it just wasn't going to be able to work. So I think we're going to do some other shows in either Colorado or New Mexico. And then hopefully we can do our normal shows again. Sonoma, Sacramento, Del Mar, that sort of thing.
Hi there, Karl. Looks like Jay kind of zoned out on us there. I think maybe his feed got frozen. So could you tell us? Could you tell us, Karl? Do you have a website where we can have people go to take a look to see what's going on at your place?
I've wanted, eventually I'll do something like that. Right now, the only website really is my our breeding website for the stallions.
Okay.
But I don't really have a website for here in San Diego.
Okay, so they can go to see what's going on with you at on your Instagram, I guess, right?
Yes, Instagram is the best place.
Perfect. Okay, we got Jay back for you.
Hi, sorry about that, guys.
You got kicked out.
I did. I got kicked out.
Up there. Chinook is coming in.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for filling in. I appreciate
I'm prepared for that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it happens, and it is broadcasting in 2020. You just things happen, and you just go with the flow. That's our lesson. That's our worldwide lesson for all humanity this year.
I think that's the motto of 2020 is go with the flow.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Karl, thank you so much for coming on the show. You're a fascinating character. All the stuff that you do for everybody, and you're such a great role model for so many people. And all I can say is just keep it up. And I really appreciate you coming on, and definitely hope to have you back soon.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for asking me. And can't wait to see you guys at a show again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So everyone, next week is a really, really special episode. Kevin and Diana Babington are coming on, and this is a story you really have to see. It's a story of, heroism and heartbreak. And I get emotional just even talking about it right now, and we haven't even started the show yet. So, please join me next week on the great. Oh, thank you, Karl. Yeah, I hope everyone watches, because this one means a lot. And I want to thank Scope Equestrian Lifestyle Company for being with us tonight. They were so excited to have Karl Cook on the show. They said, look, they're a small company, so they can only sponsor one show, and they said, we want Karl. So thank you so much for being here, Scope Equestrian. Farm Vet, just literally the best company, and we talk so much about the care of the horses. Farm Vet has so many fantastic products for the horses. I know they work with Karl as well. It's the best place to look after those wonderful animals. So check out farmvet.com and keep caring for them. That's it for tonight. Thank you so much. As always, ride safely and respect the horse. Good night.